All right, so today we're hitting abs. I'm gonna show you 3 different exercises that I like to do using bands, but you don't have to use bands, but it's definitely gonna increase the resistance, make the exercise harder and more effective. So the first one that we're gonna do, you can find any place that's up high where you can anchor a band right here. I'm just gonna loop this across. Now I could do it several different ways. I could take it through, use it like this, or I could just go ahead and drape it over, which is the way I'm gonna do it. So just one hand in each. This would be the same thing that you would do if you're using maybe a cable machine and doing crunches. So we're doing the same thing with bands. All right, so standing up, we're gonna crunch down. And what I want you to focus on here is getting that flexion in your spine. So if you're doing these with your back straight, that's not gonna get that optimal contraction in your abs. So you wanna think about curling forward versus coming straight forward. All right, that was 20 reps. Now I train abs the same way that I train every other muscle group. People ask me about how many reps should I do. Look, your abs are a muscle, so we're gonna train it the exact same way. I like to do 4 total sets. The first one, it's the forklifts in the warehouse. First one, I always do 20 reps, and then I go up in resistance and I go to 10 reps. So we're gonna do the exact same thing here. So pretty much gonna double my resistance. I could do it a couple different ways. I could grab the bands higher up, making them stretch more, or I could grab a different color band, or even add a smaller band here, maybe even add one of the reds and use it together. So we'll see how the resistance feels by grabbing it up higher versus here. So this is gonna be significantly higher because I'm stretching the band more. So second set, 10 reps. Third set, we'll do 10 reps again, and we're gonna go back to 20 reps. Now, just like any other exercise, you wanna focus on your 3 types of contractions. Your concentric, so that nice controlled crunch, and isometric. So right when you hit that peak contraction, hold it just for a split second, and then control the eccentric or the negative. So take advantage of all 3 types of contractions here. Really make your muscles work. There we go. What I like to think about is bringing my elbow to the middle of my thigh. That ensures that I'm getting that nice curl like we're talking about. Okay, they're getting crazy with that horn. Now we're gonna move over to our next exercise, a reverse crunch, but you gotta do it the right way. A lot of people do it the wrong way. Most people, when they're doing reverse crunches, I see a lot of this, it ends up looking like a lot of legs. This is all hip flexors here. This isn't really helping our abs. What you wanna do is the exact opposite of what we talked about here. You wanna get that nice curl in your spine. You gotta round your back. So what it's gonna look like, hold on to the back, lift your butt up, and then crunch up. Now, you got a lot of resistance right there, just fighting gravity, but we're gonna make this even harder here. I'm gonna scoot closer. I'm gonna hook my feet in there. I'm gonna do the same thing. Okay, that one's too heavy still. Don't be afraid to adjust your bands. All right, that's better. We can even scoot a little closer. I'm just gonna go for 4 sets of 10 with these. There we go. One thing that's important when you're doing these, make sure as you're lowering yourself down, you need to stop short from touching the backrest again. So you'll notice that my low back and my butt never come back down, so I'm never resting. So I have constant tension the entire time, and that's one of the keys. Everyone talks about developing your upper abs versus your lower abs. You're not gonna be able to isolate one over the other. It's one muscle, but you can target it a little bit. With our first exercise, you're gonna feel it more up top. These, if you do them the right way, hopefully you can feel them a little lower in your abdomen. But the most important thing, if you wanna develop your abdomen evenly, is just getting full, complete contractions. That's the most important part. Getting good range of motion. Really get that isometric squeeze on every rep. That's the most important thing. So even if you didn't do these, you should still be able to develop well-rounded, well-balanced abs by doing any kind of ab exercise, whether it's designed for targeting the top or the bottom. Just make sure you get good range of motion and peak contractions. That's the key. But if you can't start this way, don't worry about it. Everyone's got to start somewhere. Just lower the bench, learn the movement, do it the right way, then progress up to the bands. That's just a way to make it harder. Getting that curl in your spine and getting that nice squeeze every rep. That's more important than using the bands or the angle of the bench. That part's not important. You just want to make sure no matter how you do it the right way. Ah, man, those are rough. We got one more exercise. I want to go ahead and I want to start with my arms behind me. I don't want to start here. So right back here, make sure that I have enough resistance in the back. And I'm going to come forward. I like bands for all exercises, all body parts, but for abs especially, there's no substitute. It just gives you so much flexibility. Because I get that resistance in a horizontal plane, I can grab that behind me and I can pull all the way forward and really get that peak contraction. So I feel a much stronger contraction all through my abdomen than I do using dumbbells. If you're doing reverse crunches and your back is flat, or you're doing regular crunches and your back is flat, then you're probably using your hip flexors. Now the key to targeting muscle growth is isolation, and that means you don't want to use other muscle groups. You want to target the muscle that you're training. So we don't want to use our hip flexors. So don't do any of these exercises with your back flat. Try to focus on that curl. Sometimes like with a Swiss ball, because you're sinking down into the Swiss ball, it doesn't look as exaggerated, but still focus on that. Getting that crunch, feeling like you're shortening the distance from here to here. If your back is flat, then that distance never shortens. It stays the same the entire time. So think about shortening the distance right here. And so that's why before I was saying, when I'm doing the crunches, standing crunches, I think about bringing my elbows right up there to the top or middle of my thigh. Okay, 3 exercises for building your abs. This is part of a complete series where I've shown my total, complete routine plan for training with bands only. Now, the next step after this, I've got another video which is going to be leg training, and that'll be the last one of this series. But what I'm going to start doing is periodically bringing bands back into my advanced training technique videos and showing you how to incorporate bands with free weights to go ahead and bring up the intensity and help you build more strength and build more muscle. I've always trained with bands. I love bands, but now we're going to add a little more variety in there and show you how to kick up the intensity of your regular workouts with bands. Well, this series has just been using bands exclusively. So that's the end of this video, and I'll see you on the next one.